Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. It is Thursday. I hope you are well and you are having a very good week as we get closer and closer to the weekend. Lots to talk about. In today's video, we'll talk about Kai Havertz. That has certainly kicked off a little bit since I was discussing it in yesterday's video. We'll talk a little bit about Thomas Partey as well. The Premier League fixtures are out. We know who Arsenal are going to be playing and when next season. Always makes it feel a little bit closer, doesn't it? Not the worst of starts for Arsenal as well. Certainly gets tougher, but not the worst of starts for the opening month. Fingers crossed that goes well. We'll talk about Flo Balogun, and then we'll get to some of your questions as well. As you can imagine, lots of you wanting to have your say about a certain Kai Havertz, which, yeah, interesting one. Kai Havertz spoke about it a bit in yesterday's video when I reported Arsenal's interest. It's kicked off a lot since then. David Ornstein, of course, reporting later on in the day that Arsenal have now made an opening sort of offer or proposal. I think he described it as for Kai Havertz, who has certainly divided opinion amongst the Arsenal fan base. We don't know what that opening proposal is in terms of a number, but we do know Chelsea at the moment are wanting about £70 million for Kai Havertz. Real Madrid have been wanting him as well, but they have backed off, certainly according to reports in Spain, because of that price tag. And as far as we know, Arsenal have no intention of going anywhere near that high for Kai Havertz. So talks will continue. 70 million for me, no, absolutely not. I've got my reservations about Kai Havertz, but because of let's face it, he's not done great at Chelsea. But I also have a lot of trust in Mikel Arteta and Edu when it comes to talent ID and signing players that they think is going to fit and are going to do well. So I'm kind of sitting on the fence a little bit here. My own personal opinion on him is, yeah, why are Arsenal really trying to sign him? He's not been great at Chelsea. We've seen him struggle in the Premier League. But then on the other side of it, I think, but I really trust Edu and Mikel to get things right and to identify players who they think fit the system and they're going to come in and work, because most of them have worked. So, you know, I'm willing to give them certainly the benefit of doubt of this. They know far more about it than I do and are far more experienced than I am when it comes to IDing footballers that are going to fit the system. But 70 million for me, that sounds too much. You know, he's not done enough while he's been at Chelsea to justify that higher price tag. He's got 2 years left on his deal. He doesn't appear to be willing to extend his deal at Chelsea, which is why they would consider to set a sale this summer, because they don't want him to get down towards the final year of his contract. So they're not in the strongest of positions. They're not in a weak position because 2 years is still a long time. But, you know, 70 million sounds like an awful lot. I can't remember exactly how much they signed him for from Leverkusen, but, you know, it wasn't that much more than 70 million. I'm actually going to just have a quick look now. I should have prepared this before. But just want to have a look, see how much they signed Kai Havertz for. You think the sort of form that he showed... it's not coming up. Oh yeah, 75.8 million. There you go. That's what they spent for him. So, you know, he's been there a few years, 3 years, I think. Hasn't done anything like what he did at Leverkusen while at Chelsea. So I'm not sure whether he's only got 2 years left in his contract and he's not going to sign. I'm not sure he really warrants only 5 million less than what Chelsea paid for him to sign him in the first place. I mean, you can understand them wanting to get as much money as possible because they need it. But yeah, for me, and I'm, you know, again, what we hear is that Arsenal are not willing to go anywhere near 70 million. And so we'll see how those talks go and whether they progress or not. If Chelsea stand firm, then I don't see this being a deal that is going to be done. If Chelsea are willing to negotiate and drop down to a fairly lower fee, lower price tag than that, then it's one that Arsenal want to get done. So yeah, it's an interesting one. It certainly has divided opinion amongst you guys. I will go through some of the questions and comments at the end of this video about what you've had to say, and I've seen all the sort of reaction on social media as well to it. You know, lots of people very positive about it and think, you know, Arsenal can get the best out of Kai Havertz, can get him back to his Leverkusen form. The interesting thing is where he would play. You know, would he be seen as this kind of false 9 or just a straight 9, or would he be for the Granit Xhaka role? Personally, for me, I think I look at it and think the Xhaka role is far more suited to him. He's not a number 9. You know, he can play there. He's pretty strong, you know, not bad in the air, but I think he's better in the sort of 8 role. When you look at when he was really, really good at Leverkusen, where he was playing, I think he fits that role a lot better in this Arsenal system. He's done very, very well for Germany as well. Obviously he's not played that great for Chelsea, but Chelsea are a bit of a basket case of a football club at the moment, so not many players do play well for Chelsea. That's why they are where they are. They're good players still. They just don't play. They're not performing because of that club's just a mess. Would he sort of come to Arsenal and be a lot more free and express himself a lot more and get back to the sort of form we saw at Leverkusen? Who knows? But I'm not willing to write it off completely just because I have my own reservations about it, because, like I said, I do trust Mikel and certainly Edu. If they've ID'd a player, they think he fits the system, his data fits everything that they're looking at, then I'd give them the benefit of doubt 100% that to go and get it done. So, yeah, interesting one. Let me know what you guys think, of course, in the comments below, which you've certainly been doing during the last 24 hours or so. Okay, Thomas Partey, let's quickly talk about him. We spoke yesterday, I was saying about how I don't think Arsenal should be considering selling Partey or Jorginho this summer, and I think they're going to be really, really important, and the squad needs to be strong and all that. And my understanding on Thomas Partey is that he has absolutely no intention to go. He does not want to leave. Now, that's not saying he won't, because if Arsenal decide to sell, then, he's in a difficult position. But, he has worked very hard to get Arsenal back in the Champions League since he arrived. That was the dream of his when he signed, was to get Arsenal back competing in the Champions League. He's finally done that. He's helped Arsenal get there. He doesn't want to go now. He wants to play in the Champions League for Arsenal. So, he's happy, settled in London, and doesn't want to go. So that's my understanding on Thomas Partey's stance over his future this summer. Whether it gets taken out of his hands and a bid comes in and Arsenal decide to sell, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But from his point of view, he very much wants to stay at Arsenal and play for them in the Champions League next season, because that's the reason he joined the club when he came over here from Atletico Madrid. Okay, Premier League fixtures are out. As I said, it's always a good day. It makes you feel like the season's just that little bit closer. You can start to plan, look at who you're going to be playing when, who Arsenal are playing at Christmas and all that sort of stuff. So if you haven't seen it by now, which I'm sure you have, here are some of them. Good start for Arsenal. I mean, good on paper, obviously. It could go wrong, but it's not, if you're picking how to try and get some momentum early on in the season, this is not the worst start. Arsenal kick off at home for the first time in a while against Nottingham Forest at 12:30 p.m. on the Saturday, on the opening weekend of the season. So for once, they're not the Friday night game. They're not away from home. They are at home to Nottingham Forest, 12:30 p.m. kickoff. Next game, they go to Crystal Palace the following week away. So again, for the second season in a row, their first away game is Palace away. And then they are home to Fulham, home to Manchester United, and then away to Everton. So first 5 games of the season for Arsenal: Forest at home, Palace away, Fulham at home, United at home, Everton away. So first 4 games, Arsenal are in London. No travelling. Not bad, that. You're not going up and down the country. You're settled in London. And 3 of the first 4 games of the season at the Emirates. So you've got a good opportunity there to get off to a very, very strong start, which is exactly what you want to do. Obviously, on paper, it looks like a good start. You've still got to go out and perform on the pitch. But it's, when Mikel Arteta was sitting there and thinking, who can we get? How can we start this season off? He would have been hoping for a sort of a run like that. Arsenal then go after the Everton game. I think after it's the international break. Oh no, sorry, it's not. After Everton, then they play Spurs at home. So 4 of the first 6 games are at home, and then you have the international break after Spurs. So it's Forest home, Palace away, Fulham home, United home, Everton away, Spurs at home. They're the first 6 games. Christmas, Boxing Day game again for Arsenal is West Ham at the Emirates, same as it was last season. I think they then go to Fulham away on New Year's Eve or the day before New Year's Eve. And then Arsenal's final 3 fixtures are Bournemouth at home, United away, Everton at home. So 2 of the last 3 games of the season home, and to teams you would hope Arsenal are going to beat. So it's not been that nasty to Arsenal. Obviously, there's some really tricky runs in there as well. When you looked at how the fixtures have come out, I think the Champions League, the group stage games, Arsenal have got Tottenham after one of them. They've got Man City after one of them. They've got Chelsea, I think, after one of them. So, that's going to be difficult. That's what you've got to factor into the season now, the added demands of the Champions League. You can't really rest players for those games when you've got those massive Premier League games next up as well. So you've got that to factor in, but not been the worst. There's some tricky runs, obviously, but not been the worst. The first game against City is on the 7th of October, and that's at home. So, let me know what you guys think. Are you happy like I am? Do you think that's been quite a nice little draw for Arsenal? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, before I get onto your questions, just a little bit on Flo Balogun, who's been linked with Inter Milan today. Reports in Italy suggesting Inter are knocking on the door for Flo Balogun, joining the long list of clubs who are in for the Arsenal striker. He's away with the US at the moment, about to make his US national team debut, which is a big moment for him. His interim head coach at the US, BJ Gallagher's been speaking. He says, I can tell you he's been welcomed with open arms from the group. He's integrated himself great into the group on the field. I think the things you see him do at club that have made him have such a great season are the same things that we're seeing him pick up when he comes into our environment. So again, a great first 10 days for him, but I want to emphasise that it's just the first days of what we hope is a long national career for Ballo. So big moments coming up for Flo Balogun, going to make his US national team debut. You would think his future is going to be determined in the next few weeks after that. So a big summer ahead for Balogun, who has a long line of suitors because of his impressive form for Rome. Inter Milan, the latest to join that list. As I've said before, I think he'll go. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't, given his contract situation, given the amount of clubs that are after him and the amount of money that Arsenal could ask for him this summer. It just feels, as much as you'd love to keep him, it feels like the right time to make a decision and move him on. Okay, let's get to some of your questions now. Here we go. First one, I think it's Neurochimo2607. Says, Charles, I'm not going to judge Kai at Chelsea because if you watch him at the German national team, he's still the highest scorer in that team and he keeps performing when he wears the German shirt. Just goes to show Kai is not the problem. It's Chelsea. At a cut price fee, get it done. Thank you very much for your comment. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. It all depends on the fee for me. You know, if it's what Chelsea are asking, then no, move on, spend that money somewhere else. But if it's a doable fee for a player who hasn't really performed that well, but is still, you've got to counter that into it. And like you said, he does still perform pretty well with the national team when he gets away from Chelsea, and he hasn't been terrible at Chelsea. This is a guy who won the European Cup, don't forget. But for me, it all depends on the fee in terms of Havertz, as I've said. Another one on Havertz here from Laurie Harris says, hi Charles, what would Havertz's arrival, should it go ahead, mean for Emile Smith-Rowe? Interesting one. Look, as far as we're aware, Smith-Rowe is staying. That's the message that's been sent out by Arsenal. He's away with England. Obviously, he's really looking forward to that this summer, I know, trying to get some proper minutes under his belt to get himself fit and ready for the new season. But Arsenal's stance on Smith-Rowe, what we're being told is that he is not, he's not a player they're looking to move on this summer. So whoever arrives doesn't feel like that is going to change. I mean, you'd imagine Havertz's arrival would impact on Smith-Rowe, because certainly when I look at Smith-Rowe and what his best position probably is now going forward, it's going to be that kind of left-sided number 8 role, that Granit Xhaka plays in this system. He can play on the left, we know that, he played there very well, but I just look at the other players Arsenal have there. Martinelli's going to be starting all the time. Reece Nelson, when he stays and signs his new contract, I see him more of a left-sided player. So you kind of look at Smith-Rowe and think, where are the opportunities for him? With Granit going, it's that position. But if someone like Havertz comes in and that's what Havertz and what Arteta sees for him, then yes, it's obviously going to impact him. But I've said it so many times, it's so important now that Arsenal have a squad that is right up there. It's not about the first 11. Arsenal are there, or there or thereabouts with that first 11. It's about the first 17, 18 players have to be at such a high level that there's no big drop-off when someone is left out, when Arteta rotates, and that's what's so important. So although it will have an impact on it, I still think it's vitally important that these players are still there so that you can move players around. Thank you very much for your question there, Laurie. Pete says, this is in response to a guy's question yesterday about KSC and the way they were running things. He said, the guy who said KSC isn't doing enough is off his rocker. Also a statement signing like Haaland, that was 65 million. That isn't really what this club is about. Declan Rice would be a statement signing. I agree with you there, Pete. I think Declan Rice absolutely is a statement signing. I've said it before, I think it'd be the biggest signing Arsenal made since Sol Campbell. He is a player that everyone wants, who would get into pretty much any team. Bayern Munich have been pushing for him. He is coming in 24 years old as a captain of another team, regular, heart of the England side. 2 years ago, Arsenal would never have even been able to dream of signing someone like Declan Rice. I think it's an absolute statement signing. I'm not sure you can get a bigger statement signing than obviously going out. We're talking about something stupid like an Mbappe, but obviously that's not going to happen. But in terms of where Arsenal are right now, it's a huge signing. You're taking a captain of another Premier League club who's going to come in and immediately improve your team. He's 100% established, one of the first names on the England team sheet. All the top clubs would have been eyeing him up and wanting him. If Arsenal can get it done, I think it's a huge statement by the club, by the Cronkies, by everyone. And it will say an awful lot about where Arsenal are at the moment if Arsenal can get this deal done for Declan Rice. So I agree with you there, Pete. Charlie says, this Havertz link really concerns me. Aren't we at risk of basically funding Chelsea's pursuit of Caicedo? It's a really good point. This is the one thing I agree. I didn't talk about it earlier on in this video because I wanted to wait until reading this out to speak about it. It's the one thing that does worry me a lot is, do Arsenal really want to help Chelsea out? Look, Chelsea need money this summer. Absolutely. All their mad, wild spending that they've gone on has given them, they're in a real issue financially in terms of financial fair play, everything. There's no Champions League football for them this season. Do Arsenal really want to help Chelsea out of this sticky situation by giving them a load of money that they could potentially go and invest to make themselves stronger? It's one real drawback. I'm not sure you can really, if you're a football club, if you're Arsenal and you're looking at improving your squad, though, and I think as fans we obviously think, oh no, you can't help Chelsea out. No, that'd be a terrible idea. Don't do that. But if you're a club and you've carefully been, doing your scouting and trying to work out how you improve your team, that's probably not what you think about. If you're sitting there, Edu, Richard Garlick, Mikel Arteta, in a room thinking, how do we improve things? I don't think one of them's putting a hand up and saying, yeah, but do we want to give Chelsea money, really? Do we want to help them out? I'm not sure that's at the forefront of their thinking. It might be as us as fans, but I don't think it probably is as a football department, as a recruitment team. So I absolutely agree with you, Charlie, from that point of view. For me, I feel like, I really want to help Chelsea out here and help them bring in someone like a Caicedo. But I'm not sure that's something that Arsenal would think about, if you get what I mean. But thanks very much for your question. And last one here from Ashwan. It's, Gordon says, Charles, do you think Rob Holding will leave? I can't answer that at the moment, unfortunately, properly. I do know that there is a possibility he could go this summer if a move comes in, a team comes in for Rob Holding. Arsenal obviously moving on from that. We saw at the end of the last season that, after his run in the team, he got left out and Kivior came in. And Holding is a player who could go this summer. Arsenal aren't going to stand in his way if an offer comes in. But I haven't heard anything in terms of anyone at the moment putting money down on the table for Rob Holding, but I wouldn't be at all surprised at the end of this summer window if Rob Holding isn't at Arsenal anymore, put it that way. But thank you very much, Ashwan, and thank you for everyone involved with your questions. I do appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. Have a very good day, everyone. Enjoy the sunshine. I'm off to have a round of golf now. As you can tell, I'm already in my golf gear. Looking forward to that, although I probably won't be saying that in about 5 hours time when I've just hacked my way around the golf course and have wanted to snap my clubs over my legs. Thank you for watching, everyone. Have a great day. I'll speak to you soon.